In this video, we're going to be talking about creating just extrusions. They can be kind of complicated and complex depending on how parametric you want them to be, but if you just need to create a simple component, kind of like a table, which is what we're going to do, they don't have to be that complex. They can actually be rather simple. The biggest thing is just not getting lost in what you're looking at. So if we go to File, and drop it down and then do new, but instead of clicking new, you get the pop over and select family rather than project. This will bring you into the family modeling zone. It'll bring up a list of the different kinds of families you can create. The best option typically is just to do a generic model. They have different ones for wall-based or ceiling-based, depending on what you're building. But for the most part, you can use generic model. It just kind of allows it to be free floating, and you can adjust it a little bit more personally as needed. When you open up, you're going to see this window. And so right now we have these two kind of crosshair lines. That one of them is the center to front and back, and the other is the center to left and right. And these are just your reference lines to help you remember where you're looking at and where you're staying. So if we click on Create, it brings up our different options that we can build here. And we're going to just stick with the solid extrusion for now and then get into these later on. So like I mentioned before, one of the biggest problems is people get lost in what they're looking at. Because if you come to the view or 3D view, it doesn't show anything. Those little crosshairs disappear and we have no idea what we're looking at. So what we have over here is we can show our reference plane. And if we click on it, it creates this blue little section box for us, and we still have our crosshairs hidden in here. And this is kind of like our sandbox. This is where we are going to be building and working in. So if we come back to our 3D view and we turn that on, we can now see that plane. Here is our surface that we're building. It matches over to this one, a little bit differently shaped because it stretches a little bit further. But it is that same space. So we're going to, like I said, build a table. So we'll click on solid extension, and we have our simple commands over here similar to when you're drawing a wall. So the first thing we need is to build the legs. This is easiest if you build from the bottom up. You might want to think, oh, I want to build my tabletop and then drop the legs down. Well, it works better if you build from the very bottom to the very top. So we'll just go through the middle and we'll create kind of a not 9x9, but we'll do a 6x6 section. And then I'm just going to grab this, and if you use the keyboard shortcut MM, it allows you to just mirror it. So we'll just mirror it across this reference plane, and then we're going to grab both of those and we're going to mirror it across the other reference plane. So if I hide those, you can see that we just kind of jumped it straight across to create this surface. Now we can also choose how tall we want this to be. Right now we'll just leave it at 1 foot, and we'll click OK. And there it is created. Doesn't look like anything here, but if we go to our 3D view, we can see that we have these extended. So this is one of those other things that people get confused. This plane, we don't have to build just within the blue box. It's confusing to think that from our plane here, we're right in the middle, but then we pop over here and it's missing. That's because we can extend and stretch this over. So if this gets too much in your way, then go ahead and just hide it. Now that we have what we're looking at, you can just hide it and forget that it's there for the time being. So what we can now do here is these are all treated as one individual piece because we created at the same time. If you shift them, they will all shift together. It's because they're treated as the same material, even though they're essentially 4 different legs. But we can grab it, we can extend them up, we can extend them past the point, which it shows over here as a negative value. And that's because if we turn our plane back on, you'll see that it's going below the plane that we built. So we'll just set that to be a simple 0 because we want it to just be essentially at where we place it. And then let's make it about a 4-foot table. It's a simple little one. Now we need the top of the table, and the common mistake here is that we hop back into this plane and we'll say, okay, we'll do create, we'll create an extrusion, and we'll do a box, and let's just throw that on top right there. And we don't want it to be a foot thick, but let's just make it, say, a 1/4 inch, not a 1/4 inch. Yeah, no, we'll just make it 1 inch thick is what we'll do. If I can click the right numbers. All right, we'll make it 1 inch. And then they say, okay, that's good. And then they go to the view and, well, oh no, you have this upside down table now. And it's because this top was created on the same surface that the legs were created on. And the common mistake is some people think, well, I'll just extend this up to right about there, and I'll extend this up to there, and that'll be great. Well, it doesn't work that way, because now if I wanted to make this table taller, and say I wanted to make it 5 feet, it's now going to extend through, and I'll have to constantly do this little chasing game of I'm going to have to move this up, move this down, and got to make it the right level, right height. And then if this gets moved down again, it just doesn't work. So what we do instead is if we edit this by double clicking on it, brings us back, and we can go to this floor, and we say, okay, we don't want our plane to be down here anymore. For this object, we want to set it, and it gives you options to pick if you have reference level set, but we're just going to click pick plane, okay, and then we are going to select the top of our legs, which if it's easiest, we can come to this view, and we see how it highlights it. We'll just click on that, and it says order to the sketch. We'll say open view, and we will click it. Oh, this is not liking me. Pick plane. Click OK. And so that didn't do it. Which if that doesn't work, then simply just click on it, and you can just do edit the work plane, do a pick plane, and then we'll just click it up here, which then we need to fix our mistakes we've made, switch these to be back to, switch this to be back to our inch, and now when this adjusts, if we say drop it back down to feet, it'll move with it, because in this piece's mind, its work plane isn't down here, but it's right at the top of those 4 legs. And as you can see, we ran into a little bit of trouble on our own, and that's where the problems happens, is if you struggle to put the plane where you need it to be, it gets rather difficult to make this work effectively. But that is a simple way to make an extrusion and a table, even though it's very weird shaped.